Hi everyone, this is Dr. Nitin Chhoda with Ignition Time. I hope our viewers and subscribers in and around Texas are staying safe. In this video, I'm going to talk to you about what's going on in Texas, some behind the scenes information, some information that's going to surprise you, and I'm going to talk to you about what this says about the state of our country, because I do believe what's going on in Texas and the reactions from politicians and also from many of our fellow Americans actually tells us about the deeply divided state of our country. Now, let's start with some encouraging news. You've probably heard about what's going on in Texas. This is a headline on your screen from the Associated Press, which reports that the Texas power outages are now below 500,000, which means power is being restored pretty quickly, but the water crisis deepens. There are a lot of individuals who don't have drinking water because of the horrific climate crisis, because of the horrific weather crisis in Texas. So why did all of this happen? On your screen, you'll see a tweet from Evan Smith, who's the CEO of Texas Tribune. And Evan writes, why did this happen? Texas leaders failed to heed warnings that left states' power grids vulnerable to winter extremes, according to experts. And the article from the Texas Tribune is something that I'll show you on your screen right now. This is a pretty incredible article, and I encourage all of our viewers and subscribers to read it. As always, you'll get a link to all of our resources in the description section below, so check it out. The article reads, Texas leaders failed to heed warnings that left the state's power grids vulnerable to winter extremes. Texas officials knew winter storms, we knew winter storms were coming, but they knew the winter storms could leave the state's power grid vulnerable, but they essentially left the choice to prepare for harsh weather up to the power companies. So essentially the state said, hey, let the power companies plan for this. And many of the power companies, as you might expect, all these upgrades cost money. So what did these power companies do? They did not do these expensive upgrades. Now that, plus an energy market which is largely deregulated in the state of Texas, left Texas isolated from the power grid of the United States of America. And this means that Texas was left alone to deal with this crisis. Now, as you can imagine, politicians did weigh in on this, and I'll be covering that as well. Unbelievable. Check out this tweet on your screen from the Houston Chronicle. And the Houston Chronicle reports that the former Texas governor, Rick Perry, who tried to run for president, suggested that going days without power is a sacrifice that Texans should be willing to make if it means keeping Texas away from the federal government regulation, keeping the state grid, the power grid of Texas separate, away from federal oversight. And a pretty incredible statement. Let's take a look at this article from the Houston Chronicle on your screen right now. And you can see the headline, Perry says Texans willing to suffer blackouts to keep feds out of power market. Now let me ask you this. If you're in the state of Texas, or for that matter, if you're in any state, would you be willing to suffer blackouts so that the state power grid can be kept out of the control or out of the oversight of the federal government? This is a question I have for you as a viewer and a subscriber. Let me know if what Rick Perry is saying is representative of what his constituents might be feeling. In fact, if you are in Texas, I'd love to hear from you. Here's some reporting from the Houston Chronicle. And by the way, I'll show you the blog post that is referenced by the Houston Chronicle. In a blog post posted on House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy's website, Perry is quoted responding to the claim that those watching on the left may see the situation. By the way, folks, see how this situation now starts to become political? Pretty incredible. We should simply be focusing on helping our fellow Americans in Texas, but as you can imagine, this is now starting to get political, so I'll continue. Perry is quoted responding to the claim that those watching on the left may see the situation in Texas as an opportunity to expand their top-down radical proposals. Texans should be without electricity for longer than 3 days to keep the federal government out of their business. Perry is quoted as saying in this blog post, try not to let whatever the crisis of the day is take your eye of having a resilient grid that keeps America safe personally, economically, and strategically. So, which blog post are we referring to here? Here's the blog post on your screen. This is on Kevin McCarthy's website, the Republican leader in the House of Representatives. And you can see it says, what's up in Texas? And it has a caricature of Rick Perry there. And I'll provide you with a link to this entire blog post in the description section below, so you can dig deeper into comments by Rick Perry and into other statements on the Republican leader's webpage. Speaking of incredible happenings, here's a tweet on your screen from Erica Simon, who's a Dallas native. Erica writes, this is not a third world country. This is Houston, Texas. I spotted a line of people filling up buckets of water from a spigot at Hayden Park. Why? Millions either have no water or are under a boil water advisory. As you see the video right there, it's pretty incredible. And Jim Acosta from CNN responded to Erica and said, "What in the world? This is a nightmare." In the meantime, let's hear what the Texas governor, Greg Abbott, had to say. He talks about ERCOT, ERCOT, which is the Electric Reliability Council of Texas. So what the Texas governor says, and you see his tweet on your screen, "We are ordering an investigation into ERCOT and an immediate transparency by ERCOT." In fact, let's show his statement on your screen. And you can see the statement from the Texas governor, Greg. And he says, "I thank my partners in the House and Senate for acting quickly on this challenge, and I will work with them to enhance Texas's electric grid and ensure that our state never experiences power outages like this again." And Brian Taylor Cohn, who's a political commentator, responds to the governor of Texas and says, "Texas deregulated its power grid, failed to winterize its equipment, and has so far blamed ERCOT, Democrats, and the Green New Deal, California, and New York for its own failure to keep Texans safe." I'm particularly interested in hearing from you if you're living in the state of Texas and suffering, and I want to know whether this political back and forth, this political football makes any sense to you. I'm sure the only thing that matters to you is getting your power back, getting drinking water, and just getting back to life. And speaking of getting life back to normal, here's a tweet on your screen from Andrew Lawrence, who's the Deputy Director of Rapid Response for Media Matters for America. And Andrew Lawrence quotes the Texas Governor Greg Abbott, who's blaming solar and wind for blackouts in his state, and says this shows how the Green New Deal would be a deadly deal for the United States of America. I'm not quite sure of the connection between what's happening in Texas and the Green New Deal myself, but I can tell you that Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez did have something strong to say about this. But first, let's hear from the Texas governor, and then I'll show you some responses from other individuals. Let's roll the tape and hear from the Texas governor about the connection between what's happening in Texas and the Green New Deal as this entire crisis descends into political madness. Let's roll the tape.
I'm all for cheap energy. I'm all for. But that would include the lifeblood of the world's economy: gas, oil, old-fashioned oil, and coal. I'm not against nuclear energy either. I'm not against wind turbines. But my question is, if they have these rolling blackouts and you got freezing weather, and they're not reliable and it's use it or lose it, what good is it?
Sean, this shows how the Green New Deal would be a deadly deal for the United States of America. Texas is blessed with multiple sources of energy, such as natural gas and oil and nuclear. But you saw from what Trace said, and that is our wind and our solar got shut down, and they were collectively more than 10% of our power grid. And that thrust Texas into a situation where it was lacking power in a statewide basis, that was power that was spread out by that ERCOT organization that you were talking about. As a result, it just shows that fossil fuel is necessary for the state of Texas as well as other states to make sure that we will be able to heat our homes in the wintertime and cool our homes in the summertime.
Here's a tweet on your screen from Beto O'Rourke, the Democrat, and Beto says to the Texas governor, Greg Abbott, "You're the governor of a state where millions don't have power, where people are literally dying of exposure, and you go on Fox News to talk about the Green New Deal," which, by the way, is not something that is responsible for generating power in Texas. It's something that has not even been implemented nationally. So it seems like the Texas governor is making this a political football. But again, I want to know what you think in the comment section below. And Beto writes, "You are the governor. Your party has run Texas for 20 years. Accept responsibility and help us get out of this." And speaking of politics, here's the political opportunity for the Democrats. Here's an article on your screen from the New York Times, and the article reads, "Now it's coming back to bite them. Democrats see an opening in the Republican oversight of the Texas grid." Yes, Democrats are going to use this also as a political football, just as Republicans have started to. And this is the unfortunate part. As the state reels from power outages, Democrats look to turn the tables on the Republicans who dominate state government. That's where things stand, everyone. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. If you're in Texas, please stay safe. I hope you're doing well. Thank you so much for watching. Please click like. Please subscribe. Please enable notifications. That helps out the YouTube algorithm, and that means a lot to me personally. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe. Let's hope that we can come together. For me, it's not about the red or the blue, it's about the red, white, and blue. I'm not Democrat, I'm not Republican, I'm American. We are all Americans first, and hopefully we can find a way to help each other, the ones who are the most vulnerable, instead of descending into political madness, just like we are beginning to see right now. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next episode of Ignition Time. Take care. Bye.